Eins, zwei, drei.
Is this on?
Nice and silent. Welcome back to the roundtable. It's been a while. I think I'm bad with time, but I think it's been almost 2 years since we said goodbye, and now we're back.
2 years.
I think it was summer of 2024.
That's 2 years. That's crazy.
Or I'm wrong, and it was just 1 year. I have not really done
I think
the
it's 2
research.
years.
It's 2 years.
Yeah, it was before.
A year and a
And she's 1.5 now, so.
See? Yeah, anyway, we're back with a slightly different setup. We're working on having an actual round table. You see, it's a square table. And to celebrate the return, yeah, and also the format is obviously a bit less formal, at least a bit. And Markus, your place is over there. Sorry, but a bit of form has to be. Yeah. Anyway, I'm super happy that all of you came, and it wouldn't be a return of the round table if we wouldn't have Wieland and Hilker here next to me. Hello. Also known as the father of the round table.
Grandfather, you are the father.
Who's the mother? Anyway, and then Antonia Angel. And Markus Heckmann, holding the record for the most roundtable visits ever.
Sorry.
Yeah, and as always, we're going to have 3 presentations. You're, of course, welcome to ask questions. If we have serious questions from the audience, you have to wave me. I have to hand you the microphone because we're also doing this for the millions of people on the internet who are watching the stream. Of course, they don't want to miss out on this wonderful conversation. But now I would say, let's get started. Wieland has brought us some really deep informations about the Tau Ceti preset system.
Yeah, we will see how deep we get and how deep we want to go. But I will use the moment a little bit to talk about myself first. So I'm the co-founder of ++1, which is a small company. We are up in Weißensee, and we're doing a lot of technical development for live events and all of the interactive stuff you know and love. And basically, we are pushing forward into integrating real-time workflows into live events. So if you are interested in that part specifically, feel free to reach out and get in touch. You can just write at hello@++.one, or you can even call us. We have a phone number, but just between business hours, 9 to 17, Monday to Friday. Otherwise, you will go to our mailbox. We have that. So with that out of the way, talking about about my company, because that's what we are here for. I actually never really talked about that, and I feel like that might be a little bit interesting because we just had this little talk before. Where do I actually come from? So this one is a video. This was way before I called myself Alpha Moonbase Berlin. I think like initially I called myself Mietverkapfe. And I was part of first the Warcraft 3 modding community, then switched. And one thing, StarCraft 2 actually, sorry. And one thing I actually love doing there already is building systems. And even when I show you this little clip of a system I built, you might see already why stuff I do looks similar. You have a movement system, someone can walk around using the arrow keys, and you have some menu, you have drop down, so you can already see that's I will be talking about today. After that, I started to go to play around a little bit with TouchDesigner, and the first and only Wohnzimmer session. He did the VJing, I did the VJing, of course, and I just taped my wall with some stuff and did some mapping. I think I didn't even do the mapping in TouchDesigner. I did it in VPT and used SPAU to put it over. And the interesting part about this is that also, because I think this one was still done in 077, so I think there wasn't even Python yet. So how did we do the transition between the different scenes? I used a lighting desk because I'm actually a technician, also trained in like lighting technology, DMX, lighting desks. I have a for a yeah. Now it's 2 of the specific software, which is ETC EUS, which we use also at the Opera and stuff like this, so like a real professional lighting desk, and we used it to basically control some visuals here, and it looked like there's even sound nice. So yeah, it's all nice. It's all RAM, and a lot of mirrors and stuff like this. But what I wanted to just tell is basically the preset management was done by a lighting desk, which may inform some of the reasons why I built Tau Ceti in the way it is, because I tried to mirror some of the workflows that I learned from using a lighting desk. Maybe also just going with this one a little bit, just showing some later visuals I did, which was way less RAMs, a little bit more interesting, let's say, also no longer in my living room, but at Zukunft at Ostkreuz, RIP, was very nice. It was Sylvester. A lot of stuff happening. Let me just jump to the cool one. Like this one. I love this part. Oh yeah, Mickey feels it always. That's like. Okay, so preset management. Let's get back to that. The Tau Ceti suite basically is quite old. I think the first commit to the repository was 2020, but if I'm not mistaken, I even started before, and it was like as part of a forum post, and it evolved over time, and we are now at version 5 of this. And it's one of the components that we, as ++1, are actively maintaining. And also, what maybe is quite interesting, that the Tau Ceti suite by now, because it's several components, is also a Python package. So you can install it from pip. If you have from PyPy, it's hosted there too. But you can also still, most of the stuff, just download here from the releases. And here you have the different tox files that you can download. So you have preset manager, but I will go into them. The other solution, as I said, is if you're already using the virtual environment manager that got introduced with 2025 version, then you can also just pip install TDP minus Tau Ceti. And then it can look like this. So this is our preset manager. And I have 2 versions. They are both identical in the sense that the tox file is just used importing the tox file that I downloaded from GitHub. And the module is actually using the installed package from pip. What does the preset manager actually do? Might some people ask. Who is asking that? Okay, quite a lot of people. So basically, what this one is doing, it is to transition between states of parameters. So we can go from state A to state B in a predefined time and have this being fluid. So as an example, I've set up like this little demo component here. Let's maybe reset all of them here. And let's play. And the first thing that we will have to do, and this is where basically the idea of the lighting desk is coming from, is we have a stack. And familiar with like MA or whatever, then you will every action you do, like recording a preset, basically that's it. Recording a preset will be done to all the parameters inside of the stack. So how can we do it? We can, for example, just take a parameter, can drop it in. We can take all of the parameters here, like parameter groups, and then they will add all of them. And also when we delete them, we can take the whole operator as it is and just drop it in, and it will add all of the custom parameters. So let's maybe get rid of these two, and let's just do some color presets. So for example, let's say we want to have a red. Maybe let's also add a little bit of background so we can see it. So we have red, so let's name this one red. We give it a name, the preset, and we hit record. Then let's do green, record, and let's do blue. And we hit record, and now here in our drop-down menu, we can again select them, and we hit recall. And now you can see that the parameters are linearly changing from one value to the other. What's cool is we have a fade time, so we can make it very quick, for example. So let's go from red to blue. In 1 second, we can make it very long, for example, over a longer time. And also we can choose different curves. So for example, we can go use like a very nice S-curve, which gives it a little bit more of this like, okay, slow attack, and then it slows down in the end, which gives animations, maybe not so much in the color space, but especially if you transition between different positions in space, for example, gives us this much more natural feel. The different things you have here is you have some information on the left is which component the parameter is from, which is cool because you can create presets for more than one operator. The second one is just, okay, we also have some information about the name of the parameter. Then we have a preload button. This is not really implemented anywhere, but in theory, it exists. You can, and this also comes from the lighting desk idea, because there's something called move in black. Because the idea is if you have a moving light, for example, which has to change position, then you don't want to have it move to the position the moment it also fades in. So the idea is that in theory you could also say that you preload the parameters like the color, and then you just fade in the intensity, for example. But this is something that you would have to implement yourself, which is very easily possible because the Tau Ceti preset manager and all of the components have a very extensive Python API that you can call, and it is relatively well documented. Let's call it that. And then here you have different types of fades. You have a regular fade, you have a start snap, and you have end snap. And an end snap basically means that after the transition is done, we will jump to the value, and start snap basically is the same, but it will happen at the beginning of the recall, which is very important if you have non-fadeable parameters, for example, a menu. So, and then you can just remove the item from the stack, which also is interesting. So another cool thing what you can do is you can also store references to expressions. So here I have made a very nice little rainbow effect. So it's going from rainbow to rainbow, and we can simply call this preset rainbow. So we hit record again, and now we can go back to red, and you will see that if we now go back to rainbow, it will, in the time of the transition, evaluate the state of the expression and do a very smooth transition. So it's like no sudden stop or movement. And I made a little, like you can see it very nicely here. So let's go to red and recall that. And you see it's a relatively smooth curve between the different states. Which might also, so if we use, go back to rainbow. So, let me just have a little checklist here. Okay, so now that we have this up and running and our different presets, because this one right now is an external external component. If we would now restart TouchDesigner or the or just hit reload, we would lose the presets and our stack. Which is fine, because this way, just saving the preset manager outside of our project allows us to basically project size relatively slim. And it's no problem preset manager. But what we can do and what we should do is we have so-called data repositories. And this is one of the little ways I develop my components, is that I try to keep a separation between the data, the business logic, and the UI. So what we do is in our settings here, we have our stack, we have some callbacks, we have a pre. So let's just press stack and let's create. And now we can see in here, when we go into our preset folder, we can see we actually have all of our presets represented as components. And all of these components have sequential parameters. So what we can do is we can even adjust and change the parameter, the presets them simply by simply updating the parameter values in the sequential. The other cool thing you could do is if you have another preset manager anywhere in your project. So for example, just drop in preset folder, and now this preset manager also has access to all of the presets. This means you can also save your presets, you can version 1, 2, 3, and you can just like, I don't like how the presets work. Will be safe. And basically the same is true for our stack here. Okay, this is a little bit unfortunate, but if we now clear our stack here, drop our parameter back in, you can now also see that, for example, in the phase, we could also now all make. So the UI of our preset manager here, it's completely representative. It's like it doesn't hold any value, any state. It just shows the state of our stack component here. And again, we could also just like plug it in here. Ta-da! Which can be interesting if, for example, you have one preset manager and you want to do some A/B switching. So you have two, like you have your scene, for example, in this case, like the demo comp, and you have it in two places, and you only need one preset manager, for example. Or you have per layer, you have one preset manager, and the state, like the data, is living on top of A and B. But that goes too far. Because there's still some stuff I want to show you. Maybe let's talk a little bit about the other parameters we have here. We have stuff like path relation, which is by default set to relative. So we are always saving the relation to the operator and to the parameter of the operator in relation to the preset manager. But we could also just set it to be an absolute path. There are reasons for both to have, but I found that most of the times it's relative is the best one. ID mode, I will get on later. And then, yeah, it's just like some smaller stuff like, okay, if we want to override, like if we are saving a preset with the same name again, we can here decide how that should be handled. If we just want to override it, if we request the user to make a decision if it should be overwritten, or if we are just raising an exception and saying, hey, okay, this already exists, we're canceling the whole recording thing. And same basically is, okay, what happens if there's an invalid operator stored in our preset? Should we just ignore it? Should we remove it, which is also possible, or should we, again, raise an exception? And the same is, what if we are recalling a preset that doesn't exist? Then we have store previews, because what we can do is, let me put in a select here. So let's make a new one. Let's call this one, oh, interesting. And let's call this one circular yellow. So we're recording this, and now we can go into our preset folder, look at circular yellow, and we will have the input of the preset manager saved as a log top. So in the preset manager itself, this won't do anything. But as I said, it's a suite of components. And one of the components is the dashboard. And the way it works, it's like one of the companion components, as I call them, because they will on themselves do nothing. They will not work. The way they work is you define a preset manager by, for example, just dropping it in here. And then we have a nice little dashboard that we can resize. Should be able to resize. We can create different banks, for example. And then we have different modes like recalling, recording, deleting, mapping, and renaming. So renaming will be interesting. So let's go to map, and let's say red, blue, green, rainbow, and circular yellow. And as you can see, now in the dashboard, we have a preview stored of the preset that we recalled. And yeah, if we go to recall and we go to red, blue, green, rainbow, and back to circular yellow. Now we have the situation that you just saw. What happened is it didn't change the type of the thing, which simply was because when we said we stored the RGB values. But we have a little feature for that. What it will do is it will look into all the parameters in our and it will add the current state of the parameter if it doesn't exist at the preset at the current. So for example, let's put this one back to this one. Let's hit push. And now, borderless. So now if we recall circular yellow, we jump to yellow, and if we jump back, we jump to vertical. And basically, because we set in the stack, we set it to start snap, it will jump at the beginning of the recall. Again, here we have the same situation. Here we have our dashboard. We can reload this now safely without any issues, and it will always keep the specified data. We can again also go in here. We have our bank. We have red, blue, green, rainbow, and circular yellow. So we can actually go back to the thing. Because initially the problem was, and actually this version of the dashboard was sponsored. Someone paid me to. It has a because it now has a rename feature. So and we can rename a preset. So renamed. And now if we go into the preset folder back again, we see that the preset is green because there's a separation now between the name and the ID. And why is this important? Because we have more, like if we have more than one of these dashboards, for example, we need a way to know what the name is. For the other components, for the queue list. So let's go to the queue list and let's do the same. Drag and drop, go in here. So here we have our queue list. And then we can append queues. And the queue basically in this case is boop, 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 rainbow, circular yellow. And again, coming from a lighting desk, this is basically where everything is going to. We have queue, and we have our the next queue, and we hit go, and then we will jump to rainbow. The is what happen if we don't have the separation between name and ID is if I go in here and go back to renaming, and let's name this one green. Dang it. Why? So now the lister wasn't cooking. Let him cook. So basically, this allows us to have a consistent naming over all components that are referencing the specific preset. So the initial idea I had was, okay, like there wasn't a name mode, there was just a UUID mode. And the idea of the UUID mode is like every preset just gets like a random number, just a random name, and what we are actually interested in is the name that we. Then Stefan got on my nerves with it and was like, hey, like it worked like this way in version 4 or in version 3. Now it's no longer like this. So I was like, yeah, actually that's a valid. Because if you're using it to offer your environments and then you're wanting to use the Python API to recall it, you would then have to go in and get like the ID names and recall the ID names. So it's like there are situations where the UUID part is very nice because with the dashboard, what you can do is you can also just like record presets in here. So this way it would be just like, okay, I don't care about names in the beginning. I just want to jam a little, maybe have like my MIDI controller with me and put in like some nice numbers, and then I just hit record, and then let's put in some other numbers, record again. And then afterwards, I could just go in here and give it a proper name. It's like light green and dark green. And this would translate accordingly to the other components that are using it. So that's the idea behind the whole ID mode and UUID. So the oh, right, sorry. Little thing I forgot is drag and drop page scope. What you can do is if you're, you can define from which pages you want to have the custom parameters added to the stack when you drop the whole component onto it. Because sometimes if I work on components, I often have like, for example, this version control thingy, and I really don't want to be that part of a preset. Same, for example, with stuff like styling or dynamics. It really depends how you build your components, but sometimes you really want to have maybe just like the settings parameter page active. Chop mapper. Let's go to chop mapper. Yeah, this one is like really simple idea. It's first we have to. Again, we have to define our preset manager. Let's drop this one in here. Also, by the way, always custom parameter. So you don't have to do like the drag and dropping thing. You could, for example, put the preset manager itself, the reference in a preset, and recall that. And the idea basically is that you could put in any kind of chop. So it can be like a median, OCN, doesn't really matter, all of that. And then we go in here and let's move this. And what we can. Right. So we can select presets, red, blue, green, rainbow. And then here it's like, let's imagine that this is my preset, my button board. We can enable learning. So now if I press this button, for example, we go to blue. If I press this button, we go to green. If I press this button, we go to red. And this could be like an OC pad or whatever. Also has like a nice little mode, which I added, is the time source. What you can do is you can either say, okay, I want to have the transition time, the recall time to be just this parameter, so in this case 2 seconds, or just take the value of the channel that we are inputting to define the recall time. So if you, for example, have pressure sensitive tabs on your MIDI controller, you could have like, okay, a light tab is like a very quick one, and a strong tab is like a long transition between the states.
Like basically the channel that goes off from 0 is triggering.
Exactly. So if this one jumps to like 10, for example, then it would be a transition in 10 seconds. If it goes from 0 to 0.5, then it will be a transition in 0.5 seconds.
I need a few minutes to process.
Yeah, this one also actually is quite new, because it's like, especially the chop mapper. Also, if you look inside, it really not well done from my side, because it's also quite old. So, but I brought it up to snuff. It's working now again, because I think it also was broken. But in the current version, like all of these components now are working as intended. Again, here we have our preset map. We can save it outside. Python, TwinShop UI. Now let's move the UI part up. So one of the cool things, or one of the things, as I said, we have a separation between data business logic and our UI, is that in basically every case, trying to almost in any cases that there is a UI component inside of the component, and it always has like a custom parameter pointing to what it's actually displaying or managing. So this means if you want to update the UI to fit your bidding without having to like go in and lose all of the upsides of having it as a package, you can just grab the UI and build your own one. So here I went in there, I just deleted some stuff, but as you can see, again, working the same. We can recall in theory. Okay, it's interesting, but I will not bother looking into this right now. Okay, I just want to have like this little bouncy ball here, because actually I love it. No, right, this one is for the TwinShop. Python, a little bit of Python. As I said, like not a lot. Let's make this one bigger. So we have our tweener comp. Right, I didn't even talk about the tweener comp. All of this transitioning is done by the tweener comp, which again is like a separate system, which is only there for actually doing the transition. The preset manager is only there for storing that information and for telling the tweener comp when and what to do. The tweener comp itself is part of the release. You can see it here. So you can also just plunge it into your project and use the Python API as it is. I will not go too deep into what all of this TouchUtil collection stuff is. You can find it on our GitHub. Maybe I will do a talk at the next roundtable about all of this stuff, but this is high Python shizzle. Don't bother. What's important is we have the tweener comp. We have something called an absolute tween and a relative tween, where in absolute tween we define a time, and in a relative tween we define a speed to go from the current state to the defined state, which in this case we pass it a parameter, we pass it an end value, or maybe target value would actually be better, and we give it a time. And then we can also just like give it some additional information, like we can define a curve, we can define a delay, and we can even add a callback function that we then can use to trigger some more Python stuff later down the road. Let's not go there. All right, so this is a little demo I built in a way how to use the tweener comp. You will not be able to use the tween shop just as a tox because it is deeply engraved as part of a Python package. So you will have to install it to be able to use it. But the idea basically is that we can create a channel as a sequential parameter. So let's name this one channel 1. And then we can do all of this, what I just showed you in Python, we can just do it as custom parameters. So what we can do is we can define time and speed. We can say if it should be absolute or relative. We can give it a target value. And we can give it a curve that it should be using. And yeah, so as you can see, it's not as like a filter. But yeah, it's basically doing the exact same thing as the preset manager itself. And I just want to have like this little, not elastic, where is the, yeah, the bounce ease out. I love this one. Boink. And now, for example, if we set it to relative 0.1, then it's like boink, 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 boink. It's like, especially for UI animations, this is like really, really, really nice. Like this, you can also, that's basically what the delay function is for. Like the delay argument is that you can, for example, go into a loop, okay, delay 0 seconds, 0.3, delay 0.4, and then they in like staggered in a staggered animation.
You can also call back when they finish.
Yes. Like you can pass callback argument into the absolute tween. Basically, very similar to how the tween works is also the preset manager has like all of the functionality that you can do in the UI. You can also do using Python. So for example, here we have recall preset, so we can sort of recall preset ID and the time, but we can also just like pass it a curve. We can say that it would the stack from the last preset that you recalled. But also there are all of the other ones, for example, like recall preset, record preset. We can refresh the stack, for example. We can remove all presets, do on your own. We can remove a specific row from the stack. All of that stuff. It's all in there. And I think then we have the async. That's for all the nerds. Basically, when you do a call like preset, like recall preset or absolute tween, relative tween, what it will actually do is like it will give you a tween object and or a preset recall object. And what you can do with them is like there are a lot of functionality. For example, you can check if it's already done. You can check if it's even valid anymore. You can check the name of the preset that's recalled. You can find all the parameters of the recall that are used. You can pause the recall in code. You can get the ID. You can check how much time still is on the recall active. You can stop it. You can resume it. You can get like the tweens objects that's in there. And the really cool thing is it also has the resolve function. And then I implement the resolve function in quite a lot of my stuff by now, because what this one allows you to do is it allows you to programmatically wait for the preset to finish. So let's red, green, blue. Yeah, they should exist. So now if we recall the preset, we can see we have like this line of, okay, recall this preset, then recall this preset, then we'll recall this preset. Nice little thingy. Tweener, chop mapper, QList, tween shop, and async. I think that's it. 30 minutes.
Yeah, I have to say I use the Tau Ceti a lot, and yeah, you can build all kinds of things from it. And I'm quite dilettantic, so that's why all the annoyance. But yeah, it's extremely powerful. What I'm wondering a bit, because in the past it's been used by me through the OLIP. Now it seems a bit that the OLIP.
What's the OLIP?
The OLIP is phasing out a
Yes,
bit, and there's only selected things are now happening on your GitHub.
Exactly.
That's happening.
That's what's happening. Yeah, it's basically. Maybe let's not go too deep in there, but let's say there's a certain frustration with the current state of the TouchDesigner community and in general sharing of components. So that's also why, also in combination with funding ++1 as a company, and to be honest, having just a realignment of my goals and business practices, that we moved basically a lot of stuff to be purely in-house. But stuff like Tau Ceti, for example, or the Galileo mappers is just something where I say that's something definitely for the community. That's something that a lot of people can greatly profit from, be it beginner, be it professionals, be it just like some VJs, someone just starting out who has the same pain points as I had when I started in. Of just having to resolve to use a lighting desk to control my visuals, that now there's a very easy way to be able to do that. So this is why Tau Ceti definitely is still at the very forefront of our, let's say, the FOSS. A lot of the stuff that I published on the OLIP was not something a beginner or a VJ or an artist would use, which has very much a professional use case. So this is why we are like, okay, let's move that inward, and let's see if maybe in the future we will release that under different circumstances. But yeah, that was the reason for the decision. And yeah, basically also I invested a lot of time in finding a good way of working with packages, not having to work with like tox files and then dependencies and bringing them in and loading them on demand. And it's like not really possible if you work with the package workflow. And with the introduction of the environment context manager, it's super easy, barely an inconvenience. So that's why I was like, okay, there isn't really a need for the OLIP itself anymore. Also because everyone's just on Patreon anyway, so I was the only person uploading there. Except Dan.
Yeah, there were
and Simon also was very actively uploading, so kudos there. But yeah, it's still online, but I will not say what the URL is. So if you find it, you find it. But it will be gone sooner or later.
It's part of my toolkit.
Dang it. Yeah.
Do we have any questions from the audience?
Hello, little fluffy Mike. Yeah, how does this integrate with external sources of events like QLab or Ableton scenes or whatever? How do you launch between different states?
I mean, you could either just build one yourself, as I said, like this. So you can just say record preset, record preset even. So you can just build like relatively quickly your own Python bridge. Or you use the chop mapper. That's basically what it's there for, to be able to quickly bind it to any kind of source.
That was interesting. We maybe have one more question, because we don't want to slaughter our beloved social break.
Oh.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. That was amazing, man. I was just interested because you had the there was like like the preset manager library. You were calling a function which took in a argument that was like the curves, and when you were like kind of going between like the really cool like bouncing curves, I was just wondering, are they like curves that are already coded into TouchDesigner, or did you like code some custom curves yourself?
No, I think if you look around, there is like this library. what is it called? Easingcurves.net.
Easings.net.
Easings.net. Yeah. So basically, there's this one, and I think someone in the TouchDesigner forum even took the time to basically translate them to Python, which I under MIT. So which I then took, and for this we have to actually go and do in fact look at the tweener, because in the tweener itself there's basically like this this curves component, and yeah, basically what it does is like it's just, yeah, here you have the original code, the copyright, so it's all there. It's in the tweener if you want to find them, and in theory you can even just like add your own custom curves if you're really into that. So if you have the tweener, you externalize the curves and have your own without having to think about having to reload the tweener component or destroying anything. So it's in here. You can also in theory just like take the curves and do whatever you like. So it even has like, you can, yeah. That's the question.
Who am I to not give Dan the question?
Thank you very much. First of all, I love the Tau Ceti. I should get it. It's like, just last week I shipped the system for a theater, and like it's mostly based on Tau Ceti. So
it's also a little, but like the Hard Rock Cafe, like the Hard Rock Hotel, actually, like the big one is also powered by the tweener.
nice.
So
So yeah,
Tau Ceti.
There's
That's
a-
basically what made the dashboard.
value in here. Think about event app centers. So what if you move an operator somewhere else? Because then the relative changes. Do you do kind of any like relocate?
That's something you will have to do.
Okay.
So basically, kind of the way I quite often work is structure is relatively rigid in a way. Another thing you could do is you could actually have the preset of the component itself, and then it will just point one level up, and then it doesn't matter where you put it.
Yeah.
Or that you can relatively, now it's all here, just update the specified operator thingy. But
Yeah. Okay.
That's relative to the preset folder or the
to the preset manager.
preset
That's
manager?
that's basically why this little.
Okay.
So if I could hide this one.
I just wanted to know also, like, is there any kind of, like, first of all, this is going to be recorded. Is this going to be available?
Yes.
Excuse me?
Is this going to be available later?
We
This
are
the
live.
video
Yeah,
of this?
yeah.
We are live on stream.
Okay, I know we're live, but we be how also like someone to start using this? Like, I will probably go through this again, but do you just recommend seeing it or?
Yeah, I've been thinking about actually making like a little video series about it. Just. But if we go into the link. Yes. So this video contains most
But not all.
We get extra.
It's like it's an older version. The core concept of it's like the version changes. It's like a lot of the stuff I'm working with is or like I try around is for example like this IDs and having sequential parameters and not as tables, and still the same here.
But I would say the easy way to get into it is kind of the dashboard. If you have the dashboard connected, because then it's like you have your usual designer chaos and just whatever, and something nice comes around, like store with some, and then the queue list next. Then I can take all these snapshots and arrange them in time and build a show. And really workflow for especially theater, when you in rehearsals, you know, you just and then homework, you
Yeah.
put it in time,
Something
and
like
then
including all.
in the end you just hit the go button and go through the presets.
I think also the dashboard works quite well with a touch screen. That's why the buttons are so big.
Nice.
Yeah, but
Yeah, thank you so much, Wieland, for coming. It's cool to have you back as a presenter. For some proper nerding. Maybe for the people in the stream, I think we're gonna continue maybe more something like 8:15, so we can enjoy a cool drink and a nice chat, and whoever wants to ask Wieland all your secret Python questions, that's now the time. Thank you very much, and then see you back in 20 minutes.
I love it. A long time ago. The more you know.
just really love this like little bouncy ball.
I love it. It's so much to me that it bounces.
I have to protect it.
Yeah, you should do a whole series.
Also, it has like this elastic, like.
I love that. Like a risotto.
Yeah. Yeah, but also just like the ease in, ease out, like bam, bam.
With circular, he's in.
So good.
With that curve.
Yes.
This within our birthday, kind of revalidating parameters.
Yeah.
You store them in an extension.
Notice that we have T-shirts. You can merch. Yeah,
Represent.
you can get it at the bar, actually.
Yes.
No, but talking about the highlight of the evening, and that's of course T-shirts. That's Antonia Angel. I've met Antonia when she was taking a course, and she was making very impressive. You couldn't finish because you were busy with something else, but it was so promising content. So I'm very curious to hear what you're up to these days.
Yes, so actually, hello everyone. I didn't bring anything to teach you. There's actually like 5 of my teachers in this audience. So I was thinking about what to talk to you about today. And I think the most interesting thing about recently has just been my trajectory and the mistakes I've made and the things I've explored. And basically I have a slideshow on that. So the many things I've attempted as a creative and how they led me here where I am and to TouchDesigner. So I wanted to start talking about what I went to school for. I went to school for architecture, and I think a lot of people in this room did as well. But I was looking back at my projects in school, and they show my love for digital art. This is actually one of my favorite projects I did. It's a design for a virtual reality research center. And it looks like a spaceship, and it was just in my head, and a project that can never come to reality, but it just showed my love for building things on my computer and 3D printing them and exploring that. And then another project that shows kind of foreshadows where I would end up is this design for a nightclub in Tokyo that, I don't know, it's kind of the place where I'm working now. So I just designed this place that was supposed to be for EDM, or I was imagining like some experimental electronic, and it just shows like I really didn't want to be an architect. I liked the practice, but I wanted to be an artist, and I loved music and I loved digital art. So when I graduated, like a lot of us do, I got hit with the real world. And I was working with this company. It was actually really nice. It was a startup, and they focused on sustainable modular homes. And my job was not as an architect, it was as a digital asset producer of things. Like I was doing the renderings and some diagrams, but I was burnt out. I was working a lot and I wasn't finding so much passion in this work. So that's when I came to Berlin. And I found some videos. Why does it do this to me? There we go. Of my first time using TouchDesigner. Shout out to Ricardo and Maxime who are here. And they taught me how to use TouchDesigner for the first time. And I found these videos, they're actually stories I posted on my Instagram because I couldn't believe this was real. And I just thought it was so cool. And actually when I posted this butterfly, it was not ironic. I thought it was so cool and I was showing off. I really was. And then the first project that I did in TouchDesigner was, I think it was very ambitious. I did it with this team, Carly, Eva, Ipek, and Yas. And we had found this tool that we were completely in love with, and we wanted to do everything. So we had a Kinect, and we wanted it to be motion reactive. And I was using the AI plugin by .simulate. And basically, we just wanted to do everything. And it was this like 10-minute show, and it just had to be everything. But it was a good challenge because we had a deadline, and we were showing these pieces, and we just had to make it happen. And I was so scared, but we did it. We rehearsed a lot. Eva was doing the motion and the performance, and I was mostly taking care of the TouchDesigner stuff. And yeah, it was a challenge because I didn't know how anything worked, but it was also, I found out the only reason I learn things is if I have to. And so that's why I'm here today. And here's a little video. I don't even know if you can even tell what's going on in the video, but it gives you kind of a clue of what was happening. If it loads. Kind of crazy costume, so the great, but and then depending on how much it was moving, then it would just the speed of a noise that was recording this particles in the back. And it was simple, but at the moment I was really happy about it. And then I went to the next project that was also and I wanted to explore why we don't use tact or touch, the sense of touch, in our technology. So I would use computer mice and fun sensory. But I'm the kind of person that stims a lot with my hands when I need a little bit of. I was just what the world would look like if it was more tactually diverse. Okay, and so I decided to make this kind of like blind box. I didn't, because I thought looking at the things inside it, then it would be too much about which we all on as a society. This box, and I just had this idea of asking people to put their hands inside of it and somehow control with that what was going on in the screen. So yeah, a bunch of different elements I'll show you later. During this time, I traveled to India. As many different kind of sensors that I could find. Any would send some kind of information to an Arduino and do something on TouchDesigner. So there were just like sensors, flex sensors, and then I had some rotary encoders, and I would have done more if I could, but this was what I found. And then that was what the box looked like inside. I had all kinds of toys for stimulation, so like fidget toys and balls and anything that you would use as a and I found people were a little bit scared to put their hands in there and find some unexpected texture. But some people spent some time, exploring what each texture did. And I just put and then explore them. And then after experimenting for a bit with those projects in school, I got my first commission. And thank you to Harshini. I think they're in London right now, but they are running 3AM Energy, and they're the first ones that told me like, hey, you could do this for work. Do you want to do a project? And I took on this project. It was a beautiful show in an immersive setting. So, but it was in Miami, and I couldn't go there. But I was tasked with making some audio reactive video, and so I sent the TouchDesigner files to them. And it was my first time doing a project like this, and I really enjoyed it. This is one of the files I sent, which I worked on a file that I found on Patreon from Audio Dev Out, shout out. And it was audio reactive to when the performers were, they were singing and speaking, and this would react to whatever they were doing. And I was really nervous because I couldn't be there for the actual rehearsals, but it ended up working. And they got some nice, they didn't get any video, but they got some nice photos of it, and they were very happy with it, so I was very happy to have been involved. And then I did some animations for them. Let's see, I think if we start here, that's better.
I apologize for the bad internet.
It's okay. It gives me some time to think. Yeah, I was just working with effects, and these were videos of the actual performers, so we kind of had this concept of mirroring what was going on in the performance with what was going on the walls, and I just had so much fun working on this piece. Yes, and that brings me to where I'm working now. It's called Studio 1111. It's in Potsdamer Straße. And it's like an immersive club. The concept is it's a gallery, art space, it's a bar, and it's a mixture of all the things that are good. And the setup of this was done before I started working there by Linda, who's in the room. Shout out. And Flora and Fauna Visions and Mickey, who I think is around, you guys know. And then
back to Holland.
Not around, okay. But they created this system that is so complex, and to this day I'm still learning it. But basically, it just created this playground where I can really create immersive shows and do a lot of amazing things, and I just have access to this place, and here are some examples. Like fashion shows, performances.
Someone torrenting.
I think something
Oh yeah, people, yeah. So I'll show you more of what the club looks like, but I'll talk about like what my challenges have been there and what I've worked with. So basically, it's a very long and narrow space. So some of the biggest challenges have been working with video layouts and the resolutions. We always start with a gallery, and then we kind of move the same material to the night, and we turn it into a party. So we go from a gallery or like an installation and turn it into like party visuals. But of course, people don't produce video content in like a narrow and long resolution. So working with that, and then animating and activating photography, because a lot of the times our galleries are photos or still art. And then having the flexibility for different vibes, whatever the artist brings, giving it rhythm and audio reactivity, because at the end of the day, you're gonna end up VJing and really creating a vibe, creating a party. Avoid being too repetitive, and most importantly, don't overstimulate the crowd, because you're really surrounded by these projections, and if they start moving too fast, or if they're too bright, or if the strobe is too much, then people get dizzy. And then helping artists turn their visual art into an immersive show. So I have an example. This was last week, and I was working with an illustrator called Visual Manipulator. And she makes these beautiful cartoons drawn by hand. And she was asked to be the gallery artist for a party by Coconut Concepts, which is a collective that has many different house DJs, and they throw parties in Berlin, and they're always super fun. So we talked about what we could do so that her illustrations could fit the space and just do something fun and like party-like. And we thought about this idea of having her draw the DJs in these like CDs. But obviously, they're still. So this is the Studio 1111. Okay, so the first thing that I did was I wanted the CDs to move in a way, and something important to point out is we don't have a lot of time to plan these shows. We have 3 or 4 different shows a week, and we cannot invest a lot of time producing this content. So I just spend, I'm creating a material that would look more or less like a CD. Then I ended up looking at a real CD. It looks, I think, nothing like that. But that's kind of what it looked like in my mind. And then I gave it some motion, just, transform and rotate, and easy enough. This was the material that I created. It is not a real CD. There's no real CD anywhere in there. I just used like a delay RGB to give it the like little shines, and then the texture to give it like this little corrugations that a CD has. I just made a ramp and just made it really, really tiny and black, white, and then applied it as a map to the PBR and to the metallic, and made it shiny. To the roughness. Yes, so it went from what it shows the drawings, more for the party. I don't know if that helps. Worse. point, oh, I also used a lot of light because I wanted this like shiny disco experience of sorts. And then I thought of something that I was familiar with as a teenager, that were these like curtains of CDs. And so I kind of made that effect with the drawings of the DJs. And I was like, okay, so that's kind of giving me something, but not enough. There's no really like rhythm in the room. Ooh. So then I made them a little bit audio reactive and made them doesn't distract people other colors when it comes to the end of the night. Nicely, like I said, last thing, like 2 hours come together, and at the end you're gonna play with this for like 8 hours in the night. But yeah, it came together. At the end I ended up changing the colors a little bit. It created and the most important thing is like the artist like it was these are some videos from the night. We kept the two drawings of the back to back. So like the two CDs of the, and that's me and Tally. Oh, Tally helped that night. Shout out. The two CDs of the DJs playing, we kept them behind them because it's funny, like they're there and then they're also in a drawing. That was a really Okay, and then there's another example. This show is actually happening tonight. So I was just preparing, but I chose this example because I think it's also like something different from what we usually do. And it's the Life is Dangerous, Live Analog Visuals and Collaging with Chris Reberger, who's a graphic designer. And his concept was to bring in 2 light tables and then have an animator animating what was coming off of these light tables, which were basically like superimposing different graphics on each other and then sending live image to us, and then also taking pictures and sending them to us. I don't know if that makes sense. And then animating them and sending us the film. And then we put it on the walls. It should be happening right now. I don't know how it's going. Hopefully it's going well. My friend Fede actually is getting all the content, grabbing it, and VJing with it. So that was the concept. And I was just using a replicator and grabbing everything that they gave us. We would download it into a folder with the same name as the base. And then we just put it all on a layout. The layout was like my best friend because we just, and we did maximum 9 images at a time. And then applied a bunch of effects to it, called it a day. This is kind of what it was looking like during rehearsals. So they had only sent us 3 images, so. But yeah, Fede is VJing tonight, doing some. And then my helpers in my process, the Zuweise, which Linda introduced to me actually, and makes media mapping so easy because, like I said, we had like 3 or 4 different shows a week, and mostly I just use the same tools, but when I just have to media map something really quickly, it really helps. We use NDI a lot because we have 2 computers. We use TouchDesigner in one and then Resume in the other. It's been reliable so far. Except one time. And then we also use live camera from an NDI app. Function store tools for the workflow because you've got to move fast. We got to be fast. And then I'm always labeling my MIDIs because I can't remember anything, and that's been very, very helpful. And that's it.
Thank you, Antonia. I think it's always nice when you look at Studio 1111. I think everybody who was involved had a big learning from what kind of is the expectation, what we need to do, and then time pressure and constraints, and then you learn what actually works and what creativity actually is, and that it doesn't need to be complicated, but it needs to be explored in real time.
Yes. It's been an exploration, like every event is different and it doesn't have to be perfect. It's never perfect. Yeah.
Do we have questions from the audience?
Wieland.
Wieland, ach sorry, du hast ja dein eigenes Mikrofon da. Entschuldigung.
No, I just found it funny seeing Zuweise because it's. Are you aware that the person who wrote Zuweise is just?
Yes, I was just looking it up. I was like, I gotta give credit, and I was like, basically. Thank God.
Experiment.
About it for a long time. It was horrible. Yeah.
Coming.
It's not a competition. I think this is, I mean, of course, a talk that doesn't lend itself to so many questions because you've described your personal journey, and I think it's very beautiful to see how the creativity always shines through, right? And it doesn't have to be complicated to be beautiful and interesting in the end result.
I do have
Wieland.
a question.
Yes, wait a second.
Thank you. I don't know if you can answer this, maybe Linda can help, but what's the relationship between TD and Resolume in studio?
You can answer. I think she's the expert.
So Resolume we use to output because, you know, it's already mapped there. We don't have to change anything. And then some of the people that work at studio don't know TouchDesigner. Like it's just not their thing. They don't want to do it. So Resolume just has the basics that will make a night work and be musical and something to dance to. But then TouchDesigner is for when we have something interactive or we want to do something special. Or for example, I was working in TouchDesigner before I even started looking at Resolume, so it's just my tool of choice.
These two systems exist and that you can kind of use it, and you can always, if somebody does TouchDesigner, it plays out through Resolume. At any time someone else can go and do something with it.
Yeah, you can work two of you at the same time, like kind of B2B.
So spouts.
Yes,
Yeah.
like Spout but NDI.
One thing is also really nice, you can record during sessions. So in Resolume, if you're not recording, if you're not recording for too long, and if you have an empty disk, because it's gonna be very fast with the DXV files, but then you can record, and then if you fuck something up in your patch or it crashes or whatever, you have the safety net of just having a recording of what you just did. And so you can, like at some points in the night, like, oh yeah, this is nice. I will also let this run after I'm packing down or I'm going. So yeah.
Resolume's great for Ali's amazing codec. It's a really good
Ali's
codec
amazing.
system,
Yeah, in Wire you can make your own things. It's a little similar to TouchDesigner. Yeah, it's nice. Oh, and we use Resolume for the lights as well. DMX. It's much simpler on Resolume, I think. At the moment, well, actually, gotta be careful what I say. No, I mean, for me, sometimes you think things are simpler just because you haven't explored.
My way into TD was through Resolume, because it was like, oh, this is better, TD's better. But it's a gateway drug, wasn't it, really?
It's a drug.
Okay. Dylan, wait a second.
Great presentation, loved it. I have so many questions, but I'm just gonna ask like a few. I was interested about the crowd overstimulation, because I feel like maybe this is personal to me. I kind of just overstimulate everything I do in Touch because it's kind of easy. How did you discover that that can be a thing that kind of fucks with people?
Easy, you know, I mean, you go in and you'll play something that's overstimulating. It's you know it.
You see like the people's
You know
eyes
it.
going.
There's a thin line, but when you're crossing that line a little bit, maybe you won't notice it. But if you're doing it a lot, you know, especially because you'll spend there like 8 hours and then you know.
Have you found a kind of like a middle? You can dial up the strobing or dial up the.
There's different nights, like sometimes it's a party and that's different, but sometimes there's, we've been doing this audio visual concert series with Flora and Fauna Visions, and they've been bringing in different DJs. The last ones were from Ungreed Live, and that's more, you know, it's more of a storytelling, and sometimes the story is a little overstimulating, sometimes they do a lot of story, that's okay. But when the for people to, then you keep it low-key.
I guess it's different for like a VJing event as opposed to like a long multiple.
Exactly.
I also would like to ask, how do you deal with the sort of high, like, I'm assuming it's quite high resolution that you're outputting from Resolume to like all of the thingies. How do you deal with maybe having like GPU or CPU ambitious projects which kind of take up a lot and having to maybe downsize in terms of FPS or resolution and stuff?
Yeah. So honestly, like the material on the walls is very forgiving because it's grainy, and I think that was an intentional choice because it's a special reflective paint for the projectors, but it also helps with the low resolution. We use sometimes videos from the 80s or from Internet Archive, and they still look fine. But what we tell people when they want to do a TouchDesigner audiovisual show is it's okay to divide it by wall. We have these columns in the space that make it very forgiving, and also since the space is narrow, it's not often that you're going to see everything. So it's okay if there's a seam and you're just outputting the resolution of one wall and then you're multiplying it, or you can just do half and mirror it to avoid a seam.
The full res is
16,000. Linda knows. I haven't memorized it.
16568.
165.
1,200. Why do I still know this?
Trauma. Yeah, I haven't memorized it. I go to the tech writer every time. It's funny. Yeah, I've been there for a year, and a half.
And all the other, I don't know. This stuff just keeps in my brain.
Yeah.
yeah, 16K.
16K by 1,200. So the height is actually not that insane, but it's just the length. Yeah.
That's the overstimulation thing.
Yeah, kind of everywhere around you. It's pretty sick. Just one last, just tiny little, just you were talking about, you kind of glossed over the sort of red as you kind of like the color red, and I do as well when doing like LED screens or just because it's nice. But would you be able to go more into kind of your discovery of, or what, because I kind of already forgot about it, sorry, like the kind of concept of red being a better one for audiences not to get distracted. I think that was what you said, right?
It might just be a personal choice. I actually think there is a science behind it. I think red is a lower spectrum. I'm honestly just blabbering right now, but it's just less bright than the blues and the greens, and you can't really tell, I guess, unless you see it projected because it's like light. And then it's just, you can make a red really bright and vivid without the room being on, because people don't want to be, it's like when they turn the lights on in the club and you know you have to go home and everyone looks like tired. You don't want to make it too bright and then everyone's like, okay, time to go home. But you want to make it pigmented, you want to make it fun. So red, you can do that without people being like, oh my God, I'm seeing like your makeup is running and you're high on drugs and you have to go home. So yeah, that's why red.
Thank you so much. That's yes.
Hello. Yeah, so I'm with the intersection that you're coming from, like with spatial design and then kind of developing interactive experiences within that. I can imagine that you're using CAD softwares to like make this and then overlay on top the visual elements. So I'm curious where you think the future of this will lead you and what you're interested in seeing out of that.
This was made by Mickey. It came with the package, I guess, when I arrived. But I'm not ready to completely abandon architecture. I love it, and my dream is to really mix the two practices together. And I want to go more into stage design and really look at how I can design spaces with technology in mind and with visuals in mind. And I want to keep challenging myself technically, but also as a spatial designer. So I would like to do both and maybe one day be a part of the team that develops spaces like this or different kinds of spaces, and not just the person that works there, but step by step.
Yeah, because I can like very for you.
It's coming together.
Yeah. Amazing work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, there's this whole idea of media architecture, right? The merging of these two disciplines. You can study it, but you can also practice it, I guess. Yeah, in light of the time, I would say thanks again, Antonia, for sharing with us. It was very inspiring. And we are going to have a little break. I think it's fair to say that we will be back 1:15 for the people in the stream, and then we'll hear from Markus, the newest news. Straight from the kitchen. Okay, so see you in a bit. Thank you for your attention.
How much time do you have per show?
Like 2 hours.
break.
Advertising.
Just quickly to show what we have prepared and what's still coming. So we have already started our very popular TouchDesigner beginner class, and new since last season is that you can from this go directly to the intermediate class, so from little playful examples where you kind of learn the basic functions to building more complex networked systems, both led by Nima Ghazistani, and both have 2 guest sessions by Dan Molnar, who is giving first an introduction to Python and then picking up in the intermediate to take it further, and the same does Fanta for GLSL, so which were before separate things. But we feel the time is ripe for a more consecutive path. And that doesn't mean that we don't have a couple of nice professional modules coming up. Basically 2 columns. One is pops, 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 pops. As we all know, pops are changing everything. So we have, we'll have, this is unreleased material. So we're going to have POPs foundations with Derry and Brito, so setting all the foundations, and then on top of that comes the POPs advanced, which then takes that to the next level. Also, how do you use that with GLSL? And then we have 3 case studies. So the one of them from Derry and Brito, it's going to be audio particles, because if we have something over the years that everybody wants reactive particles, so we do based on the foundations and the advanced information that comes before. And then we're going to have this Union Oton procedural locomotion with POPs. There was he's using POPs to create walking creatures with their own behaviors, so developing behaviors instead of animations. So I think that's going to be very interesting also, because he always prepares very well and very thought through things. And quite spectacular, I think, will be a 2-part workshop with Stephen Bontley, this nice banyan tree installation in Bangalore, which includes LED screens, lasers, custom prisms, complete self-built software to control all that, lights and so on, tracking involved, so very integrated system that he's gonna dissect and use as a case study to show how especially DMX POPs change the way we can work with lights, and Designer is a good tool to combine all those things like audience interaction with direction and so on. So I'm going to release those as soon as possible, as always. And then we're going to have another, it's going to be 2 courses. Jonas is going to give some foundations in system architecture. I know it's not as popular as audio reactive particles, but you all realize at some point, if you not have a career as an audio reactive particle person, you will have to start building systems, and there is a lot of knowledge that can be picked up. So we're going to set the foundations, and then Dennis is going to come back showing the GitHub workflow, which kind of enables people to work in bigger teams collaboratively in TouchDesigner projects, or even with remote teams. Yeah, Ed. We always said there needs to be a GitHub course, and now we have one. And Dan said nobody needs that because everybody knows. And then I'm especially proud on the creative masterclasses, which will get an update. So as you all know, the creative masterclass is basically, again, the idea of a case study. So we work online on a simulation of a venue, but in the end, there's going to be an actual screening in the actual venue. We split it up now, so there's going to be a first 3-part session, which is very affordable, extremely affordable, and lays the foundations and is open to as many people as want. And then the second part is naturally more expensive, more exclusive, and that part you will be guided through the development of an own work, and also guided to finish that and actually deliver in the actual venue. And also we're going to introduce now that you're going to be at the venue, you're going to see what you prepared, and that's always a big learning. And then there's going to be an extra studio day to work it over and to go again to the location and show it. And we're going to do this for 3 topics. One is Full Dome with Simon Dryden and B-Dome Berlin. And then I'm going to do an immersive room with Kunstkraftwerk. Some of you have already done that, so we're going to go into the 3rd round. And we're going to do another round of creative robotics with Amir Bastan and the Kunstuni Linz, where the final presentation is going to be at the Creative Robotics Lab in Linz. So we don't have to bring the robots to Berlin, but we bring the bodies to the robots, basically. This one, we need to figure out the second part. The other one's going to go live very soon. And we're going to have something super new. An actual TouchDesigner retreat with a beautiful space in northern Italy. Hint is not on this island, but this island is very close.
Okay.
And it's gonna be 10 days in a beautiful renovated old farmhouse in Italy. It's gonna be all-inclusive house-cooked food. There's gonna be like yoga sessions in the morning to do something for the body, and it's gonna be about creating interactive pieces that are then going to be shown. The village is going to be invited, and we're going to connect with the Italian community to maybe have a round table there. So this is our venture into. And that being said.
Is this out in the website already?
Yes, that's already on the website, slightly hidden. It's going to be more public, and then it's all not on sale yet. That's yeah.
Is there any estimation of dates for this?
Yeah, it's not an estimation. It's
September.
Estimation on the cost.
There's estimation on the cost, and I can already say there's going to be a very affordable early bird, and then it's going to excessively get more expensive.
So get a reminder, Google alert.
You need to say something about the model.
Yeah, and thank you, Dan. And then the last sensation, brand new off the mill. Our next event is going to happen in 10 days already at Monopole, where the Taiwanese artist Aka Chang has installed 3 installations, laser and light and meditation installations. Dan has given him a hand, and on the invitation of Jose from Monopole, we're going to do a Meet the Artist evening. So there's going to be an artist talk by Aka or his assistant, where he explains his work. Yeah, probably assistant, because his English is as good as his German, so somebody else is going to do the talking. Then there's going to be the opening performance at 8 o'clock. And afterwards, we're going to do a tour through all the 3 different installations, and going to get a bit in behind the scenes from the artistic and from the technical side. And after that, we can hang out with our popular social, and then it ends. So this is on sale for very affordable €8.
Who's this function store guy we keep hearing?
He's everywhere. All right, then thank you for your patience with this. I will not longer bother you with these kind of things, because we have Markus coming up, to which I will give the holy HDMI cable.
Holy HDMI. Excellent.
Yay, Markus!
Yay.
The moment we can win.
So, all right, that looks good. So, yeah, thanks for having me again.
Always a pleasure.
And it's been 1.5 years, indeed. So I'm not sure where we left off. I guess we didn't have pops, so that happened.
You had the open camera.
And apparently that worked out. Judging from what you guys have been doing, that was a nice addition to the tools that are available in Touch. I'm going to do 2 things tonight basically look at a couple small things again, just to continue where I left off 1.5 years, and then show a bit of the of what I have been working on off and on, but it's coming together, and I think I'm fairly, hopefully fairly close of putting that out publicly, so you get a little preview, hopefully a working preview. And because supervisor was mentioned, I just wanted to, and I think maybe I mentioned that already, but this is one of those really nice little additions to an operator. It's the S-curve operator, which in what it's doing here, the S-curve is basically used in supervisor to remap your values for any of the incoming channels. And an issue was always that if you use prepend and append for any of the channels, so maybe just as a little explanation, what you can do basically, you can have linear interpolation, S-curve interpolation, or custom interpolation. And with custom interpolation, you can basically do these kind of whatever you need to do, like very fine in the beginning and then more drastic in the end or something like that. So the problem was with the prepend and append parameters here that they would be adding actual samples to the operator, which is not useful since it messes up your other curves. So the one thing I want to point out is that, yes, a lot of these operators, you can actually control the parameters in chops on a per channel basis. That's something that sometimes is overlooked. So in this case here, I have 3 channels, but by specifying or looking up values from a DAT table here, you can specify the me.chen index, which gives you the currently processed channel, and then select the different value depending on the channel that you're currently on. So that means that for each of these channels, you can actually choose a different curve type, different prepends, appends, steepness, linearized bias, and the ranging. Now, the display, obviously, it's a little bit weird because you only see one there. There are 3 different values for those. And the big feature that I probably pointed out 1.5 years ago, and I just want to remind everybody because it's been a while. So that basically keeps everything in a concise number of samples, and you don't get this weird shifting of your channel when you're prepending or appending different values. So you see it stays in place. It doesn't extend the number of samples for that. Anyway, supervisor, I have to say, it was really just not an experiment even. It was a necessity for a project that I helped an artist with, and he needed something quick to do this mapping. So that's what that is. Anyway, that's gone because somebody called Function Store apparently has something better. No, it's worthwhile saying that that's going to be really nice to have, actually, because it's very much needed to have good mapping tools in TouchDesigner. Anyway, so something also that's an RFE that came from the community, sitting on the table here, Wieland made an RFE for the phaser chop, I think, but we implemented it also for the phaser pop eventually. So previously, when you're controlling a phaser, you only had this one mode in it. Basically, you control time, and you can make back and forth. If you wanted to, for example, have the top go up, and then for the next stage of your animation, have it start going down at the beginning again and not at the end, you have to do like really weird things, like a little bit and whatever. It's very difficult. So I made this very simple suggestion to just have an extend input parameter added, which allows you to cycle the animation, mirror the slope, or add. That means it's your time input is not just constrained from 0 to 1. Sorry, now my Okay, that works. Like this would be the clamping behavior. If you go above 1, nothing happens. But now you can cycle this whole animation, which means it just keeps going. You can mirror this behavior here, which means it goes back and forth. You can mirror the slope, which means it goes, does exactly, I don't know, I don't have words for this. And the last one is add, which basically keeps adding to it. So yeah, really useful addition that simplifies some of the networks that you have. For example, this is an example that David Braun made, I believe, initially, and kind of rebuilt this here as in a POPs thing. It's a nice example of what you can use the phaser to do these continuous animations. And in this case here, 2 phaser chops because, because what you had to do with the clamping behavior, you had to switch between do crazy math in the chop behavior or going down. And now with this new behavior, you essentially can do this with a single phaser.
Can you preview those nodes? Sorry, they're black.
Yeah, they're all black. Oh yeah, they're supposed to be black. I don't think there's anything. Yeah, no, there's nothing. There's just points. They're the
imagination.
Yeah, there's really nothing to see because you're just adjusting attributes at this point, rotate attributes. I mean, obviously, yes, you can. We could have attribute dots and display the rotation. Now, good question. Which
I regret saying
rotate? Yeah, anyway. Oh yeah, you can kind of see it. There you go. And I think we can adjust the dot size as well. Where was I? Right. So we can basically delete those 2 phasers here, and instead of doing this, we can just count chops at there, and now control the phaser with this channel, and change the extend behavior, extend input to mirror, I believe. And you get the same result. So, like simple things, but it makes it a little, you can use this effect parameter quite nicely for stuff. Another thing, a little bit, and I very much like that we actually did this, is that now it's in the MIDI chop, where it's much nicer behavior for the 14-bit MIDI output and input. So you have a fairly control now, or that always existed, I believe, to output 14 MIDI. On channel 1, C2 or something like this, output 4, and as a MIDI in, previously the 14-bit control was hidden on the control page and only accessible when you would turn off the simplified output, which makes the whole setup process a little bit more difficult. Now it's just, we moved that basically to the first page, and you get yeah, for controller channels, obviously, but what I wonder is we probably should have a normalize here on the first page as well, so that your channels are automatically normalized. Currently, if you want to have normalized input for 14-bit, you still have to switch the simplified output off and do a little bit of this setup stuff to get to your normalized channel here. Anyway, so this is a better 14-bit support for MIDI, and this also extends to the MIDI INDAT, which now has a 14-bit values toggle, and the 14-bit values are also now part of the MIDI event message pack that's being passed into the callback here. So theoretically, we should see that if I move this, yeah, it's just coming in as a 14-bit message. The, yeah, I mean, it's fairly simple stuff. You can still get to the, if you set this to 7-bit, the input to 7-bit, you still see the 2 channels coming in. So you kind of see how this is actually working. 14-bit MIDI is being sent on 2 control channels. But yeah, now easy to switch on the first page. What else? Oh yeah, this is a funny one. This is like a way overdue. So this is kind of actually kind of ridiculous. So let's say I have 3 amazing textures from our asset pack here.
Is there ever going to be an update, or is this like, just like the Old Testament?
Why? The problem always being with the switch, or the problem was with the switch that, well, you can go between all of these inputs, but what happens when you reach number 3 or number 2 in this case? You're like, oh no, I'm eternally stuck. Not anymore, because now you have an extend behavior here which lets you loop or zigzag.
Awesome.
And this is the same in the switch chop as well. The switch chop definitely has it.
It's like you guys are listening.
Oh yeah, it's in all of them. Excellent. Great stuff. Oh right, yeah, something also funny that came from Greg and suddenly appeared. If you drag out the output of an operator to the approximate place where you would like to have the next operator, you can let go. The op create dialog appears, and you just click, you save 1 click.
And it goes to the input. Put the box in the middle.
Can you do that? It's a good question. You can do that as well.
Really? You can adjust the coordinates.
Sorry?
If you want the box in the middle, not where the line was drawn to.
Oh.
Try the
Yeah, we'll add an option. And here, and this is a really tiny thing, but this one did annoy me. The count chop didn't back. Did you ever realize that?
What? I never realized this.
So now the count chop has a zigzag, which might be a little bit weird because you're counting, but now you're counting up and down and whatnot, and you can really confuse people by adding the increment value input. But this zigzag is a new addition that's actually coming in useful in a lot of cases.
What is it? Is it modulo?
Sorry?
Is it a modular? How big are the zigs and zags?
Have a you do have a min-max specify. So same as the speed. Yeah, up and down, yeah, with the increments.
Before you would just put it in a limit, no? To get
You could put a limit behind it, but including with the increment value, which you sometimes use, that gets really confusing. So the zigzag on the count job itself makes that simpler. Now, something that probably actually my colleagues are looking at right now, because this is kind of under review, but I thought we can show it anyway, is that the MathMix operator got a little bit of a funny UI update, and I can't guarantee that it's going to look like this. So because this is literally under review, so to speak, but and that might, this kind of thing you might see in other places as well. And it's this thing that we can stow, we can collapse parameter blocks. So this has been done before. Like, I mean, a good one is always that here these hidden texture specific parameters on the material, for many people hard to find. Anyway, we have this now in other operators as well, because the more you add those kind of blocks, especially with the MathMix, the more confusing it was getting. But then when you collapse them, you kind of lose a lot of information. So initially, we had always in the on the middle mouse click on the info screen, you had in the bottom this little explanation, basically what each block in your MathMix or Math Combine was doing. So this explanation now moved into this collapsible blocks here. So you see basically, okay, my destination attribute is my neighbor position minus the incoming position attribute. You uncollapse and you see the whole thing. But now it becomes much more digestible what's actually happening in these operators.
Can we write these also? I had an expression, but
Greg actually made a prototype for that. I'm not sure. There's a little bit of discussion because it would introduce another syntax into the whole
You're also
thing.
introducing it to us in this way.
In this way, yes, but
Would be just the inverse of this.
information display versus, yeah. So anyway, it's out there. It's a thought. I'm not sure if it's gonna make it, but if the typing out of this will make it or not. But anyway, that's there. And there's a couple hints here on new operations that you can actually operate now on arrays. That's also new. And and also something that was an RFE. An RFE that's kind of half done. Well, there's a second RFE that is following, and this is something the layout top has had always a little bit weird behavior, especially when you're going into grid mode. So in grid rows, it's not necessarily unpredictable what's happening, but you never, you specify this as a 8x8, but it doesn't mean that it's ever 8x8. It depends on how many stuff you put in there, because it's going to try to find a grid or form a grid. So now there is a fixed rows input or fixed columns input. So you can say, okay, I want to have definitely, let's not do 8 because I have to add so many textures here. You definitely want to have 3 columns. And now the more you add, it's going to fill those columns first before then adding a new row and filling the columns again. Equally, we added a couple things here. which is to reverse the row order. So you start bottom to top.
Why doesn't it just repeat the 3 that you've got until it fills the 8?
Repeat the 3 until you...
however many
Fill
inputs
the
you've got,
empty
just to
spots.
populate it with those however many inputs you've got, instead of having to connect the same node
Give
like
it an
7
extend
times.
mode.
An extend mode. Yeah, I'll write that down.
Yes.
That's not a bad idea.
But then I also want to zigzag.
This is what the round table is for.
Mode.
You can do it yourself, but then
Alright.
it takes up more time.
That makes sense. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That's a nice idea. And equally, yeah, reverse the column order. So now you basically, your route for your layout can move around.
Couldn't that also be like a drop-down menu?
Yeah, and we thought about
Top
this.
left, top right, bottom left.
It became so many menu options
And now it's a lot of top.
that we thought these toggles are actually easier to do that. Okay, so, and then, right. So this was a little bit of, oh, right. No, I did show you this. Good. Yes. Scratch out. Very nice. There's a hint in here, but not yet fully in the other things. The copy pop, for example, has a template matrix transform. So instead of having to do your rotate, scale, transform separately, it will accept matrices as attribute input to transform your copies. This is going to be nice. Supporting parameters and other operators, but those are not in yet. So the other thing, and just because we talked about it as well before, I did spend quite a bit of time on DMX stuff. And the thing always was with, I'm not sure, did anybody go into DMX fixtures a lot, or and looked at DMX fixture pop? Yeah, okay, we have 2.
Just looked at it yesterday.
Nice. So it was always a little bit troublesome to send out channels via the DMX out job because of the of fixtures being like you have 16-bit channels, or you have like coarse fine channels. You just want to adjust, I don't know, like one sample there and not, anyway, it gets complicated with the chop. It's not workable. So the DMX fixture pop, Jesus, is there to make that simpler. And we thought about this idea of how to use attributes essentially to recreate complex DMX fixtures. As a couple examples, we can have a look at the snippets here and see how, while we looked at DMX sheets, how they are defined, or how, like, what fixtures currently use in their DMX addressing, how things are done. It was still a little bit, which one is it? This one, yeah. You still have to think a little bit how to set up these fixtures. Attributes to geometry and what controls what. So this here, for example, is a fixture which represents this Colorado pixel bar 8. This is a Chauvet fixture. You have 8 individually controllable LED lights and a tilt channel for the whole thing, and a couple more universal controls like zoom. The zoom is on the whole fixture, not individually, but on the whole thing. The concept that we came up with was that a fixture presented as a primitive in TouchDesigner. So every this Chauvet fixture basically can be theoretically a single point primitive. But then how do you represent 8 individuals? So then the idea is, okay, you take a line strip, which is a primitive with 8 points, and now you assign a point attribute, which is the color for each of these LEDs, and you assign primitive attributes. So you have basically a color dimmer in this case as well as point attributes. And then you also assign primitive attributes, basically control universal to the full fixture, not to these. All the other things like tilt speed and I don't know what all of these things are, but they're there. You come to this point that when you look at this fixture, this is designed as a mode with, I believe, 89 channels here. Because 89 channels, the tilt is 16-bit. The colors are 16-bit. But when you then build it out in fixture pop, to say, okay, this attribute is a 16-bit attribute, and you don't want to give it a value that's 16-bit, but you just want to give it a normalized value, 0 to 1, making it much easier to control generally. And this is a primitive attribute because the tilt is for the whole thing. In contrast, the RGBW, like the color for each single point, for each single LED, is a point attribute, also 16-bit, and it's also normalized. So the nice thing is here that you just have to define 17 DMX channels, and it iterates over each primitive and then over each point per primitive. So that means once you have the fixture defined, you can copy it multiple times if you have like 10 of those fixtures and do lookups after. Like if you want to control the color or the tilt individually, you can do this with lookups nicely. All of this goes into the DMX fixture pop. The DMX fixture pop itself has some control over, it usually does an auto layout. So your DMX addressing is basically being taken care of. We have a DMX map DAT that supports you in understanding how the addressing is working. And there you can kind of see, okay, the tilt attribute or the tilt channel is has a certain primitive index here. And I think if we go down to the RGBW, no, it doesn't give you the point. That's fine.
Markus, have you got preset fixtures for different like standard kinds of light fixtures, or do you have to build it every time?
So that's the thing. Because it gets increasingly complicated, if you're looking at a fixture like this Maverick Storm here, which is a moving head fixture that has 2 separate controllable LED segments, like an outer ring and inner spiral that has separate. You have to A, think about it quite a bit, and B, then build it out every time. And then they come in different modes, so you theoretically have to build every mode. So then the idea was, well, I guess people would like something like a GDTF importer. So GDTF is a file format which is distributed by most fixture makers. It has a XML file inside, and parsing this XML file with the help of the PyGDTF library that's available online, you can kind of get it to build you those things automatically. And hence that what we kind of did. Now, still, you want to keep this, well, I can show basically already this part here. I'm just going to use this. How much time do I have? Am I too late? I'm done.
You're unlimited.
It depends here because it's simple to, it's in showing, in pre-visualizing lights without having lights. So I just have to set up, turn on ArtNet and go to construction. You have all your, there you have lots, like a large library of makers, fixture makers, and there I just have to look for Chauvet. And once I have to find the pixel bar 8. Sorry, this one. And now just gonna check, I have here the 89 channel mode. So I switch that here to an 89 channel mode and pull that in. And move this to the side. Move that to the side, better. And theoretically, I should now, so what this GDTF importer does is it basically looks at definition file and creates parameters, different channel functions, the geometry for the channel mode, and it fills out the fixture pop with the necessary information. So for the tilt, it basically knows it's a 16-bit and it's going to be normal, so it adds that in. Hence, these names are a little bit weird because they are straight from F definition, but theoretically you don't have to deal too much with that. And then you have simple control of those fixtures basically by via these parameters. Now, it would be not so nice to have to create one of those base components per fixture that you're actually using. So we've been working on a to this, so you can say, okay, I don't just want to have one, I want to have, let's say, 5 of these. Add individual ones, you can also name them, but that's run script. Okay, now I should have 5, and I'm just going to input this here. Why I'm doing this, I'm just going to duplicate these here to make those it's 4 copies and offset by 80 centimeters. And now I have 5 of those, and I can control all 5 of them. I have set the dimmer here, and you have controlled now this this interface here. I have a control target here, which currently is set to all, so it controls with these parameters. You control all of the fixtures, meaning if you need to strobe all of them, you certainly can. And you see, I do have a little bit still work to do with updating those parameters appropriately, but generally that's the idea. And now I could select the fixture number 9 and just control this individual fixture here instead of all of them. This is where I'm very interested in using Tweener more to be able to write to those fixtures and start from the value that they're currently at. Now, the internals are built such that these parts here probably are parts that don't need to be touched necessarily. I hope to get a much nicer way of doing this part here, which is basically retrieving the attributes or the values for the primitive attributes and the values for the point attributes and then merging them in. But then I have this section where I can basically do those lookups because usually you don't want to control all of those DMX channels. You're probably mostly interested in tilt and color. So here I'm just controlling the color channel for all of those fixtures. The nice thing is that we can use those attributes for more stuff. The attribute workflow for more stuff, and particularly also for addressing. So if I look at the operator snippets again, there's here this example for moving headlight with addressing, where you can see that you can actually have fixture attributes that are called DMX, capital DMX, and then fixture net subnet universe channel net address. And therefore, you can give the starting address per fixture via attributes of your primitive. And that means of your primitive, right? Did I say that right? It's actually funny that I'm saying this has this control, but oh yeah, I did that. Okay.
So are you able to do like animation on the 3D, like on each primitive as an array, and it's going to reflect in your DMX setup? Like it's going to send out those channels.
Yeah, you can animate any of those attributes. And
yeah, but I mean, like you can move fields through it, and you can animate all the lights using like sort of actual 3D animation. Like.
Yeah, I mean that's. That's like volume. You're basically looking at like volume tricks.
You'll get there.
Where I would refer to things like RayTK, who have been doing that very nicely already with large LED setups, and yeah, like there's stuff out there from the community that solved that sufficiently. The simplest way for me to do a volume animation would be, the field pop and moving stuff around there. But yeah, that's basically where I am at with this. So yeah, the general workflow is that you select just going to make a copy here of this. You can select a GDTF file. And what was that called, actually? Let me just look that up again to get that weird-looking fixture. Operator snippets. There is this one. This is called the Maverick Storm 3, and I think I have that one here. Let's see if that works. Storm 3 here. Open and parse, so that takes a little bit. And then I have all of these different, I haven't implemented dual mode. Dual mode is often a mode where you control the body functions, pan tilt, things like that separately from the color. I have not implemented that yet. But yeah, you can basically, and then you can see it creates the geometry for you that you've seen before. Has all the DMX channels set up for you. And an arrow. This one is a tricky one because it does use different groups for different point groups for the rings, and I have to properly reflect that in the where I'm saving all those values in. But that's the next step here, just to show that it actually does create the necessary geometry for you properly and sets up the fixture properly. Sets up the channel functions for you as well. You have your yoke, pan and tilt, as well as the colors. And when you change the mode, if you're going into a very simple mode here, accordingly the geometry will change. because it's then a different representation, like it controls things differently. Now it's just one single color for all of the LEDs, so that changes then a little bit.
Markus, are you expected to go into the component and do your lookups inside?
That's what I'm thinking, yeah, because you would
can
have
do
to.
an output and into an input, and then you can loop it back to itself.
Yeah, there I am basically not, because you need to know the attribute names anyway. But yeah, so I'm thinking to have things inside the component. It's a safe place for it in a way, because nothing up here changes. It's only this section where the geometry is built and the fixture pop where you set up.
Kind of like the idea basically having the no lookups as an out. Oh, sorry. Having the no lookup and out, and then you have a parameter similar to how you use how you have, for example, the in the feedback, that you then have like the feedback pop.
Right.
So basically you go out, you do your stuff, then you feed it back. And as long as you're not feeding anything back, then you can use in the select, you just select directly the
yeah,
the
it's
no
just the
lookup.
select, exactly. Yeah. So
Also
you
just do an out, and then the out goes into an in,
mm-hmm.
and then the output of the component goes into its own input.
Yeah, absolutely. Could be. I do like the select and the parameter, to be honest. I don't like wiring things back somehow, but yeah. So what's coming here, what I have been working on lately is group support, because you want to not just control fixtures by fixture ID, but you want to create groups, stage left, stage right, whatever, and then control them by group name. That's almost there. And the other thing is, oh right, yeah, what I want to mention is another really useful thing here in the DMX out actually is this multipliers page where, and there's a little bit of naming issue which I haven't figured out how people are doing this. So you can use multipliers here where you can select channels, and ideally those channels would be similarly named, and that's already a problem. Where, for example, you would have a dimmer channel, or let's take, I just saw it here, buddy dimmer, and now let's say all of your fixtures have this buddy dimmer channel. Then here is your master dimmer that controls, that multiplies them basically, which is, I think, very requested in production settings. When somebody yells at you, you're supposed to turn those lights off. And you're like, oh no, have to do them one by one. This is the intention here is that you can have one place where you can control all of the fixtures. Since the DMX out pop takes a list of fixtures, not just single fixtures, but a list of fixtures, so everything can go out the one. On the forum where people who controlled hundred thousands of LEDs with the DMX out pop and with the DMX fixture pop with success. So I think that's very promising, the load that you can put on to these operators. And yeah, there's quite a bit of work still to be done, but I hope I'm getting there fairly soon, because I think I got through the worst part.
Bergfest.
Yeah, basically. That's it for today.
I still have one question for the dimmer thingy. I think it's a minor thing. Do you also have plans to implement probably into the GDTF a possibility to create like a virtual dimmer? Because sometimes you have like these, when you just have RGB channels, for example, then at least the lighting does. And just basically use it as a virtual, just multiplying the RGB by it.
That's probably a good idea. virtual channels. I have seen that in the GDTF stuff. I should look at that. Yes.
There was a feature request disguised as a question.
Maybe it's already there.
I think they have that in the channels, and we probably should somehow try to support that. So that means basically another multiplier page would move onto the fixture. Oh, and but I mean, sure, I can mention that there's there's GDTF, then there's GLTF, or GLTD, or whatever. Some the geometry format, GL.
Is it going to support PBR?
Me too much because we are that's being worked on basically, and I then have to go back and try to see if I can actually apply the workflow that I currently have in the GDTF import to the GLTF geometry that comes with the GDTF files. But that's currently under.
My virtual request also. The MVR files.
Oh, MVR files.
And on a MacBook,
Yeah.
if you use the DMX out node,
Yeah.
touch is not in the foreground. You're basically at 2 FPS.
The DMX out pop or
Yes,
DMX
which does
out
not happen with the DMX out chop.
DMX out pop.
Another question. Yeah, I got a
microphone.
Another question is, would you like to support the pop DMX out node to chop, which previews all channels being routed out?
Not really.
Sad face.
So yeah, this discussion came up, and the benefit of so you could do this with the via the DMX map DMX what's it called? DMX map exactly, but it's not just heavy because it's a DAT, it's heavy because we do everything on the GPU and then go directly from there to the port, and moving it into a chop is another frame. So we were kind of like...
Yeah, for me it was more a debugging tool.
Yeah, for
to
debugging.
get my channel sorted. And the biggest issue for me with the whole DMX out stuff is on a MacBook, all the touch crashes when changing any network settings.
Just back.
Off to the forums with it.
Yeah, I was hoping that it would go away with the pop DMX out, but it's basically the same crashes as with the chop DMX.
That would be really great as a forum post, because I can write it down, but I cannot test it at home. I don't
can help you.
Have a Mac, but if you put it on the forum, I put it into Notion, and it's going to be looked at.
Nice.
Yeah, because you say it's also in the chop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's network setting, something, Mac crash. Not Mac crash. TD
It's
crash.
basically the only touch crash I know, but it happens.
That's amazing.
Reliably.
Yeah. Yeah, no, those are really good if you find those kind of things. Yeah. Because that's probably fairly... Okay, I don't have to fix it, so I'm going to say it's probably easy to fix. I don't know if that's easy to fix, but we would be able to look at it.
Do we have more questions?
Hello, thank you for the presentation. That was really cool. I'm kind of nerding out. As for like the GDTF like importer, is that something that is going to be coming in the next update, or is it
In the next, sorry?
update,
Um,
like in the palette or something?
it would be a parallel, like not in an update cycle, but whenever it's basically ready. So I cannot say if it would be with the next update before or later. But yeah, it's
'Cause I like-
it's independent basically.
I started
Yeah.
making my own version of it, and now I know that I should probably stop and leave because I was there was another dude who I know, he's called Tiziano. He does a lot of big. He's done this in like proper big productions, and he made his own one. I think it's with, you were using like the script chop, right? I think it uses a bit of a different workflow, so maybe I could see it and see if there's a better, different way of doing it. I don't know. But yeah, the other one was the virtual
Yeah.
question, which is like, that would be an amazing, that would be awesome. I mean, like, this is genuinely, like, for me, this has been a pretty, like, major pop to be added, so thank you so much for adding it.
Nice, good.
I think I had another...
Happy to hear that. Yeah, it's mostly all running in an extension, the whole thing. Currently, because we don't have a script pop, and to extract the multi-values from the extension where the DMX values are saved, I have to currently use the script chop to extract those values. The whole setup of the fixture is being dealt with in an extension.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I was also going to ask, because when you were making there to be like multiple different fixtures, you were using like another what is it called, like method, and it was like a very like 2-line thingy. Will that be, I don't know, like documented, I guess?
Yeah, so I have, I basically have a bunch of methods.
Exactly, yeah.
For this, to support this, which is adding fixtures by names.
Amazing.
They are then always added linearly, like you always have a growing list of fixtures, but then with a name attached, so you can set values by name, remove fixtures, or just set how many fixtures you're going to use, getting to fixtures with all the information, creating the groups, setting DMX values by name and target fixture by name or by ID. And then speaking directly to those channel functions when you're not setting DMX values, but setting channel functions, like when you go from strobe to, I don't know what.
Oh, that's
stuff.
amazing, man.
Yeah, that's the current extent. Yeah.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I have a question. You know that I've been asking for years always, when do we get better rendering? And now I see all these ray tracers pop up, and I generally lack the time to try any of those. Happening there, is this something TouchDesigner soon, or is this going to stay outside behind the paywall, or?
No, it's not going to stay outside. That much I can say. It's not going to be. It's not also not going to be in a 26 release, as we're focusing on other things yet again.
Yet again. So I can keep asking these questions.
And what did you say, rendering ray tracing?
No, just generally the rendering is a bit not contemporary, and now you see this from Josef and from NeoV, and yeah, I just wonder if that is something that we will see.
I think the
because we're in Vulkan now, right? So this excuse is like,
that excuse is gone.
it's gone.
No, yeah, not release.
This is then gonna be okay. You can, but you can also easily make it run at less than 1 FPS, like Unreal or these kind of things, or?
That's too deep into speccing the whole thing. Basically, I basically can't answer that. Yeah.
I was just generally a general conversation about what other people maybe are doing or something like that. Just.
I mean, you can always. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be able to.
I mean, I can do it with vanilla TouchDesigner to make it run really slow. Yeah, no problem. That's always possible.
So that would be, yeah. But yeah, no, I mean it's quite impressive what's being done there. And I guess we have to follow suit eventually. Although the renderer has its charm, so. Right?
Yeah. You know how it is, if you just stay long enough, it becomes retro, and then the kids love it, and they're almost there.
And we do have a new render simple top.
What does that do?
Without shading.
What is it? 4-bit?
Like without a camera, or like what is
so
it's a new name for a constant.
This is quite useful. The render simple top basically comes with a camera and a default material that can be overwritten, and it doesn't cook every frame if not required. So simple stuff if you just need to render something quickly.
Can
like
you put a bit of geo into it, please?
What?
Can you put some geo into it?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Just pops. Why is it just pops?
Just pops.
it references above.
Very good question, but you do have because it basically integrates the geometry comp in it. It already everything is already on the GPU. You're already there, and yeah, nice, light, quick way to render stuff, including material you can define.
Oh, and you could use it to preview stuff that you're working on, right?
Well, it's actually really useful either for if you want to preview stuff, sure, but also just if you need static renders, that it becomes really handy. Because that has been an issue. Like you make something that you actually only need for a button texture or something like this. So render simple for now.
A rendering revolution is here. I think. So we're waiting for render complicated. That's beautiful. Do we still have questions from the audience, or should we make this a private conversation? Say goodbye to the stream.
Off the record.
Yeah, off the record. Now we go. Now we talk deep. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you, Wieland. Thank you, Antonia. Thank you, Markus, for sharing with us. Thank you, Maxime, who's feeding the internet with a beautiful stream. Thank you, Lynn, for providing the soundtrack. Thank you, everybody who I forget to thank now. You're in my heart, not in my brain. And we will try to bring the roundtable back monthly. That means we need lots of presenters, so each of you are heartily welcome to let me know if you want to present in one of the next editions. We also would like to be invited for free. Catalyst. I have a Catalyst. So we're still looking for something for the May edition. We have a sensational location for the June edition. Don't miss that.
What's this, the software called?
Yeah, what is this one? What's the visual?
That's called Depends. Depends.
Depends?
Depends.
Okay.
It's a German company.
Depends.
For the deep ends. Okay, this interrupted my goodbye flow. So thank you, everybody. See you next month, and stay tuned.
Friday also.
Ach so, yeah, true. roundtable, you know, but next Friday for Meet the Artist and Dan. The is everywhere. No, don't be sorry. Okay, thank you very much. Say goodbye to the people in the stream and see you soon.
Everywhere I go, I see his face. So, I don't know. I just found like a very little thing because it's basically the predecessor to Toast.